And once again it comes that time. Time for Nightsounds. A half-hour respite in the days and evenings activities when we can come apart, be together, and enjoy. Even if you're in a fatigued condition, it's possible to absorb something that may even help you tomorrow. I'm Bill Pearce, in case we haven't met. And it's been my happy privilege for a good many years to sit before this microphone and interact with you night by night. Your response is delayed, of course, because of the time factor. But I'm so grateful for it. And tonight, as we get together in this format, we're going to discuss a word that we hit on a night or so ago. This is a second in a series of programs on the word conformity. It seems we're all conforming to something. Someone's idea of the way we should live or look or act. And actually the Bible has something to say about conformity too. The music of Nightsounds will be consonant with our subject at hand. We're going to begin with an old spiritual. The 16 Singing Men, a song of closeness and desire, just a closer walk with thee. And if you know this song, sing right along with the guys, okay?
Just a closer walk with thee. Granted, Jesus, if you please, daily walking close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be.
Familiar one is sung very delightfully by the 16 Singing Men. Just a closer walk. In our last program on the word conformity, I began with a verse from the Holy Bible, the New Testament book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 1. In the King James Version, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds, that you may prove what is that good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. In the modern paraphrase, that same verse reads, And so, dear brothers, I plead with you to give your bodies to God. Let them be a living sacrifice, holy, the kind He can accept. When you think of what He has done for you, is this too much to ask? Don't copy the behavior and customs of the world, but be a new and different person with a fresh newness in all that you do and think. Then you will learn from your own experience how His ways will really satisfy you. The word conform there from the Old King James translation is paraphrased copy. Don't copy the world system and what it does and says and thinks. Well, whom then shall we copy? I recall years ago when I was a small child, living down in southern Jersey, we had one theater in our town, in the main street. And as I vaguely recall, I was not allowed to go near that theater. One time I had occasion to pass in front of it, and I literally ran. But I just took a sideway glance, and I happened to see inside the theater and noticed a picture on the silver screen. As I recall, it was a picture of an airplane in flight. But I recall just how guilty I felt that I had actually looked inside that theater when I was instructed not to go near it. I guess it was a sort of a list of a dirty dozen things we were instructed to stay away from as Christians. Card playing was one of them. The other day I saw one of my Christian brethren with a deck of cards. Not just ordinary game cards like you'd buy today, like Uno or some of the others. This was the regular playing cards with the jesters and the kings and queens and diamonds and jacks and all that. And I remember thinking, hey, you can't do that, you're a Christian. Lifestyle always comes down to movies, cards, plays, wine, dancing, smoking, whatever list will suit to make the proper distinctions from non-Christians. Conformity to these can be burdensome. Now, I've stayed away from each one of that list not because somebody made me do it, but because most of them seem to be harmful to me, other than the movies, and then you have to be discerning. God alone gives life, and each individual must dress himself or herself in what He gives. It's God who mixes people and personalities, so there'll be a variety of styles. Every time I come before a concert audience, I look out and see total variety of preferences and color combinations, hairstyles, dress modes, and so on. Well, that in no way opens the door to license to do anything and everything. Lifestyle is what God gives to each person, so therefore those styles will be different. The key is in the word conformity. Conformity to Christ not conformity to man. It's the same old principle. Conformity to man negates the individual identity of a person, presses him into another person's mold, and forces him to act, respond, and react in exactly the same way. I suppose one of the highest compliments any performer can receive is that another performer will try to emulate him in what he does. I've been fortunate enough through the years to have a couple of people who have written and asked me to give them whatever secrets I have, and they try to copy this particular format in radio programs, or to copy a style of playing or singing or speaking. Now and then, if I have an opportunity, I'll try to remind them not to copy anybody. I know I have been very highly influenced by many performers along the way. It's one thing to be influenced by a person, another to copy him. Most of us are a composite of influences of different types and intensities through our lives. But to copy another person means to lose our identity. And in a sense, what you're doing then is play acting. And a synonym for that is hypocrisy. We need to all strive to be ourselves. And if we're different from other people, and it's uniquely us, so be it. Now, there's a fine line between being different and odd. And we're not getting into that because I'm not sure I could handle that. What I'm trying to get at is that the individual before God is very important. God has given us each a distinctive personality, a certain kind of set of genes and tendencies and inclinations and preferences, personality portraits, fingerprints, voice prints, and so on. Let's be distinctly us and not conform to what other people think we should be. Now, a child in the home of a parent needs to obey. I obeyed my parents when they said, "Don't go near the theater." I loved them, I respected them, I knew there must be a reason. Later on, when I was able to reason for myself and discuss with them, I was able to discuss pros and cons of certain things like that. And even later on than that, I found that they were sometimes watching the same movies that I couldn't see because they were on television. God must have a sense of humor. To see many Christians going to the movies as they watch television, they wouldn't find themselves dead inside of a theater. Let's allow God to be God in our lives, and to be willing to take risks even, if we can obey Him and retain our identity. Here's Ken Medeman now to sing about this very thing.
Will you stay where you are, or will you reach for a star? Play the game, be the fraud, or die to self, live to God. This can be victories are. Claim His grace, claim His power. Will you stay where you are, or reach for a star? Will you stay where
fraud, but die to self, live to God. This can be victory's hour. Claim His grace, claim His power. Will you stay where you are, or reach for a star? Will you stay where you are, or will you reach for a star? Play the game, be the fraud, or die to yourself and live to God. This can be victory's hour. Claim His grace, claim His power. Will you stay where you are, or reach for a star?
Can meet 'em up. Will you stay where you are? Guilt that emerges from lack of conformity to others is the worst of all forms. Guilt can only be handled by forgiveness or punishment. But further, it can be handled if the individual traces it to the fact that it comes from trying to be someone else. Being honest and accepting of the self is a compliment to God. To negate self is to literally say to Him, "You've made a mistake. You've made me wrong. I can't be what I am. And I can't be what he or she is, no matter how I try." So in the end, that person may withdraw into a shell, or else become emotionally or spiritually ill. Playing the game in order to be accepted, to conform in order to be approved, is a very poor defense mechanism. It's not the freedom of God at work. Again, this verse in Romans chapter 12, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but be a new and different person with fresh newness in all that you do and think. Then you will learn from your own experience how His ways will really satisfy you. As God's messenger, I give each of you God's warning. Be honest in your estimate of yourselves, measuring your value by how much faith God has given you. These words from the book of Romans in the paraphrase. Taking a moment's break here, this is Nightsounds. I'm Bill Pearce with you in the late evening and early morning. Thank you for being there, for being you, for responding. One of the things I really enjoy is to see people being themselves as they write. Some of you are very candid and direct with me. Some are critical. Just a few are vicious. Most are very kind, solicitous, complimentary, friendly. So we get all kinds. Nightsounds is a message to each of us, where we are, where we live. Sometimes it hits us a little bit strongly, and if that's the case, I've been hit by it, and I'm just passing it on. I have no right to scold anyone, to judge anyone. I'm only here because I've been forgiven. And I thank God for His grace. And we want to recommend His love and His life and His grace to you, right where you are. If we can be of any service to you, we'll do our best. Beyond the program, it's been our happy privilege through the years to send reading material, books, recordings, and a good many of you write and ask for scripts of certain programs. There is no script whatsoever. This is strictly extemporaneous speaking, and I'm drawing from different source materials and quoting people, giving observations from life itself. If we do have items that can be sent and copied, we'll do our best. But if you send for something, would you be kind enough to also send along a stamped, addressed envelope? You know, the postal rates are going up all the time, and they go up for us just like they do for you, so that would help us a lot. If you'd like the cassette, the address is Nightsounds, Wheaton, Illinois, 60189. More of the music of Nightsounds now. John O'Wacker to sing a song of prayer, that God would lead us in His way, that we might be individually, distinctively the types of people He wants us to be. Beautiful number written by Larry Mayfield, entitled simply, My Prayer.
Jesus, let me see the things that you have for me. Let me hear your voice whenever you speak to me. Jesus, let me your love so great for me. Let me know your way is always the best for me. Jesus, let me see the things that you have for me. Let me hear your voice whenever you speak to me. Jesus, let me let me know your way is always the best for me. Let me know your way is always the best for me.
Let's remember, too, that whomever we might be, in whatever way we're made, we are intensely loved by our Lord. That's why this song was written. I am loved. I can risk loving you. And Paul said, just as there are many parts to our bodies, so it is with Christ's body. We are all parts of it, and it takes every one of us to make it complete. For we each have different work to do. We belong to each other, and each needs all the others. I am loved. God loved the world so much that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but live forevermore. That's something to sing about, isn't it? As we come to the closing few moments, once again, of another Nightsounds format, I want to thank you for being who you are, for being you. None of us wants to be a phony. Yes, we are influenced by others, and it's good that we are. Every kid needs a hero of some sort. But let's remember that we are uniquely individual before God. He has made us the way we are. We can be the best for him that we can be and work at our optimum, no matter what happens. Once again, if we can be of any further service beyond the program, to be a friend, to answer questions, if we know the answers, our mailing address is Nightsounds, Wheaton, Illinois, 60189. Well, I hope you have a good day tomorrow. And until we meet again on Nightsounds, a very pleasant and restful good night.